everybody in first place. Raise your glass, let's celebrate. Own lane in your own race. Why you got such a sad face? Not up to me, you chose your fate. It's a long way going down. All I can do is say congratulations. All you niggas do is slay and hate. But how can you hate when you can't relate? I ain't got time, I got moves to make. Cross the finish, not shake and bake. I don't know what to do with my hands. Look at this money and dance. Oh, man. She like, give me one more chance. All I do is give her cash. She get the cash, she drop it so fast. She on the pole, she doing the dance. I'm like, mommy, come give me that stance. I'm like, pulling back and she like, I don't give a fuck, she rockin' the back. She got hands on the ground and say, take the word and you rockin' the back. She can go down and I tell her she can go get her hair permed. She can go get her nails done.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Who Got Game NBA Conference Finals Edition. The Final Four are set. I'm your host, Jason Zone Fisher. Thanks for joining us for another edition. In a few moments, we'll be joined by my trusty co-host, BD, B. Diddy, a.k.a. Baron Davis. But as first here on Who Got Game, it's always a clubhouse of fun. You don't know who's going to come through. We're going to have a lot of surprise guests popping in and out throughout today's episode. But I don't want to waste any time. We got a lot of stuff to get into, some big game sevens to recap, some big conference finals matchups to preview, and I can't do this alone. So as always, I am joined by one of our trusty correspondents and co-hosts, Pavy. Pavy, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? How was where were you?
I was in Hawaii last week.
Hawaii?
Exactly like you think it would be. It was perfect. Okay. It was amazing. I was on the beach. I was sipping a Mai Tai. I logged in, saw you guys. You were doing a good job. BD was trying to do my job. You struggled a little bit. I was like, oh, boy.
I was trying.
Yeah.
I'm not
you. You were holding it down. You were holding it down. You were crushing it. BD, I can't wait till he comes on. He can see, how I make this look easy. We'll see what he felt like when he was trying to, be the ringleader of it all. But you did a great job. There's a lot of great basketball and a lot of great basketball to talk about. But I want to bring on another one of our friends of the program, a contributor, a podcast host of his own, a legend, Glasses, Low Glasses. What's up, man? Thanks for being here.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me, man. Which island in Hawaii?
I was on Maui last week. It was great. Oh, man, amazing sunsets, Wailea. It was beautiful. It was just my wife and I. We got a kid at home. This was her first trip away from our daughter in 3 years, which it was needed. I mean, the last year and a half, we were just kind of on lockdown. So we escaped for like a night here and there. But to have 6 nights away was, I'm feeling good. And re-entry back into reality is not easy. I'll tell you that much. It was fun. I ran into Russell Westbrook and his whole family on the beach, caught up with them. They traveled. They rolled deep. There was like 15 Westbrooks on the beach. There was a lot of them. Good thing he got that bag. He can pay for that. Yeah, that's right. But it's good to be back. And you know what else was fun? Because it's 3 hours earlier than LA, you would be by the pool, hanging at the beach, hanging out. And then basketball games come on at like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. So I could go catch a game for a little bit, take a nap, and then still have the whole night. I was kind of getting used to that Hawaii lifestyle. We might have to do a Who Got Game Hawaii edition pretty soon.
Let's do it. Down.
BD to fly us all out there. All right.
Hey, if we do, I'm there.
Oh, look who hopped on for the Hawaii. Yeah, all right. TPJ, our trusty producer, he was like, don't forget about me if we're going to Hawaii. He's already dressed in the Miami Vice gear. He's ready to go. He's on vacation. I like it. Glasses and Pavy, there's a lot of basketball to talk about, from what just wrapped up. We had 2 incredible game sevens, an amazing game 6 between the Jazz and the Clippers. Why don't we start there before we get into the next series? Because that feels like so long ago now. Game 6 between the Clippers and the Jazz, the Terrence Mann game, where he almost felt like came out of nowhere. We knew he could play, but no one knew he could drop 39 points on the Jazz. What surprised you guys the most watching that game and that series, the way it turned after the Clippers went down 0-2? What surprised you the most about how it all ended up, the Clippers doing this without Kawhi Leonard? Glasses, I know you got a lot of thoughts and opinions on this Clippers team.
No, I'm not surprised at all. My partner, LC, one of my partners from New York, dope rider, really smart brother. Yeah. He called a mile away. And we had a great conversation about what was possible for that team. And for 2 years, I've been telling Pavy and TPJ that having two small forwards on the court is such a compromise. You compromise the shooting guards, you compromise the power forwards. You're always putting each guy, you're putting these two wings at the top of the perimeter. When one is gone and you have that kind of personnel, everybody gets their looks, everybody gets their opportunity, everybody gets their touches. Players develop a rhythm. And that's what we saw happen with the Clippers. And their coach is fantastic. I mean, last time I was here, I was talking about how fantastic Ty Lue was as a coach. He outcoached Quinn Snyder completely. And they're in the conference finals for the first time ever.
Yeah. 51 years. It's crazy. They're finally conference finals. Pavy, you've covered the Clippers all season. What impressed you the most? Was it the coaching adjustments? Was it the emergence of Terrence Mann? Was it playoff P, Paul George stepping up? Was it a lot of the role players and the veterans? What impressed you the most about the Clippers in their win over Utah?
I mean, I was actually at the game where Kawhi got hurt, and I remember having a thought process literally right before we got bumped into by Joe Ingles, like, yo, they should probably take Kawhi out. The game is kind of like over. He bumps into him, gets hurt. I didn't think he had like I thought he rolled his ankle or something like that. I didn't know it was actual, knee injury. Even when it happened, I think I still tweeted like, yo, they should still win the series. Like Donovan was ailing. Also, Donovan was playing out of his mind. Incredible the first couple of games. Like, I didn't think that was going to continue, him dropping 40 every night, shooting the kind of shots and having the difficulty on those shots that he was taking. Also, I thought Conley being out was huge for Utah. Like, even when I was there, I would just see Jordan Clarkson get the ball and think and have to make decisions, which is why Jordan Clarkson was, he would score points, but he was terrible in every game. Like, he had to think too much. So I really wasn't actually shocked. And I'm with Glass. Like, even with just watching the Clippers over the years, like, they do play with like four small forwards, like four. Right. And also, even when you bring Rondo over, like, I was like, well, one thing is it allows Rondo to be Rondo. Like, they would bring Rondo, but they would still have Kawhi handling the ball at the top of the key. So now Rondo's in the corner. Like, that's not, Rondo is a improved shooter over the years, but that's not what you bring Rajon Rondo in for. I think Ty Lue has a great way of empowering his guys. We can talk about Doc Rivers or whatever later on, but that's one thing that maybe last year, I don't know if Doc did. Like Ty will trust a guy, just throw him in. Like Luke Kennard didn't really play all of the Dallas series, comes in game 6. Ty's like, yo, I like what he gave me at the end of the game, throws him in game 7. Like that gives guys confidence. Like, yo, he believes in me. And when you get the ball, shoot it. So I really wasn't shocked by what they did. And I'm with you. Like, I think Quinn Snyder got vastly outcoached. I remember even thinking in game, I think it was 3, first game, like, yo, I would love to see them go small and put Ilyasova out there just to try it and to try something different. Like, they did the same thing for 6 games straight. And it just tied. At a certain point, he exposed them. And yeah, obviously Terrence Mann played great, but that's a product of being empowered by your coach.
Yeah,
great coaches. Historically, you find guys that come out and do amazing things historically through the NBA. So I'm not surprised it was Terrence Mann. The next game is Luke Kennard.
Right.
I'm not surprised. Reggie Jackson was consistent. He looked crazy in the last series. He was able to score, but it was like he became a liability. This series, he was perfect. So, again, great coaches, man. When you see a great coach, it's always some guy. You know what I mean? Kawhi and Popovich, it's always some guy that emerges because great coaches create opportunities for their guys to score. That's a really important thing to remember throughout this podcast, because I can see we're going to have some really great conversation about players and bad coaches.
Yeah, for sure. But, while we're on the coaching thing, Quinn Snyder, the coach of the Jazz, he was in the conversation for Coach of the Year all season long, the job he did in Utah. How much of the blame falls on him for not making the adjustments when he saw the way, especially Game 6 was going, rendering the Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, into a total liability on the floor? Yeah, Patty.
I will say one thing. I remember me and Glass even had this conversation throughout the year. I was saying mad times like, yo, I think that they need to add one more guy just so they could play a little bit of a different way. I said that the entire year. Like, yes, they do one thing, and that one thing is great. It works in the regular season. But what if you run into a situation which you have to play? Like the Clippers can play really any way you want to play. They can play. If you want to go small, we can do that. If you want to go big, obviously with Serge not being there, it's a little bit harder, but they can still go big and play big. They can play any way you want to play. The Jazz play literally one way. And when one guy who is Mike Conley, a huge part of the way of the way their play isn't there, it hinders that offense a lot. And even with Rudy, like we can talk about what Rudy did in game 6, but Rudy came out and said the game plan was for me to help on PG and Reggie, not let them get layups, and Terrence Mann to let him shoot. Yeah. And he just happened to make 7 out of 9 threes. If Terrence Mann's going to make 7 out of 9 threes and score 38 points, you're probably going to lose that game. I'm pretty sure you were not scouting for Terrence Mann to make 7 threes. You're probably going to lose that game. So, yeah, you can blame Quinn Snyder, but also you kind of got to blame the roster construction as well. He wasn't the people who put those people on that team. Also, I remember even game 3, George Niang was a war criminal in game 3. There was like a stretch that he had. Go back and watch the game. Like a stretch he had in the third quarter, game 3, which he turned the ball over about 2-3 times. He's a guy that I even tweet about, like, yo, I would just like to just have one other guy to just throw in there to play a little bit of a different way. So, yeah, we can blame him, but also he didn't put the roster together.
I say 50-50. I think he could have made some adjustments. I agree with Pavy. For the most part, me and Pavy agree a lot. But I agree as well. It's the roster construction. It's constructed around Donovan Mitchell's offense. You know what I'm saying? And that's not going to work. Donovan Mitchell's offense is not transcendent enough to create the identity that team needs. Rudy Gobert's defense is transcendent enough. So if you combine him with some, you know, Ben Wallace, one of my favorite guys, you know what I mean? As much as I hate his heart and existence, right? Because he cost us a championship, you combine that with Tayshaun Prince. To create that identity. You have Chauncey Billups up front, but you have Tayshaun Prince. So not having Mike Conley as probably the second best defender on the team and having a really great, you know, maybe the 4, you know, where they have O'Neal, you know, putting a guy there that can really, really defend, stomp down and defend. You know what I mean? So it's really important for that to happen. You know what I mean? They definitely got to make some adjustments defensively on the roster.
Like, I understand that they pay Rudy all this money, and like when you pay somebody $200 million, you think, well, in spite of everything, you should be able to just go out there and get it done. But like the way that they play basketball is they funnel everything to Rudy. They get away with playing 2 6'2" guards in the backcourt, which usually doesn't work. You get away with playing Bogdanovich. Royce O'Neal looks like a solid defender. Shout out Royce O'Neal, but he is not the defender that he looks like. All that happens. Yeah. All of that happens because you have Rudy there. And when you play a 7-game series, the man got to go out there. And even I don't even think people really realize how much he does on offense. He has to set every single screen. Every single screen, he run up there setting the screen. He don't never get the ball. I also thought that one thing that they did was they didn't utilize Rudy enough offensively. I understand you don't want to run post-ups for him. Maybe he's not the best post player, but throw him some lobs. Get him involved that way. I saw too many times when you had Reggie Jackson stuck with him. He got his hands up for the ball. They just swing the ball around and shoot a 3. Like, bro, I hit a man 7-2. You can't throw in the ball. He turn around and just put the ball up over Reggie Jackson. So also, I think that he didn't do us any favors, but also I don't think that the Jazz helped him do him any favors as well.
Great coaches put you in position to score, Jason.
And Ty Lue, he's got it done time and again. Both times, first time in NBA history that a team has gone down 0-2, 2 series, and both those series came back to win. And the Clippers, from an incredible comeback, they were down 25 points in Game 6 to come back and dominate that second half to win. Then they got like no time off. I'm talking like less than almost 24 hours, just a little bit over, because they had the early game yesterday to start the conference finals against the Phoenix Suns, which tough turnaround and have to go on the road to a full capacity Phoenix arena. Obviously without Chris Paul for game 1, that was a back and forth game. I'm sure you guys watched it. What were your thoughts on not just game 1, but on how this series, how you think it's going to go between these two teams? Glasses, what do you think? Who's going to win and why? And you saw game 1, obviously Devin Booker took his game to the next level, 40-point triple-double, first career triple-double for Booker. Is he going to have to be that good for them to continue winning? What is it going to take for the Clippers to get some games and win the series?
I think Booker's stat line is a bit too throughout the front. The job Aiden did is really the conversation in both of these last series. Somehow it's getting throughout the window. How good he was against the Lakers, how great defensively he was against Giannis, and yesterday he was out. Well, yesterday he was outstanding. But I definitely think the Clippers, that 24-hour turnaround was pretty much kind of a stab in the heart for them to be around a special. I think we see an energized Clippers in game 2. The series, I have no idea. It's 2 really good coaches. They got personnel. They're going to be making adjustments all series. I think Devin Booker has always been a great scorer. He's been a great offensive player. So I expect him to be great. I expect PG to be really good eventually. They'll figure it out. And I have no idea in this series exactly what's going to happen because, again, it's 2 great coaches who are going to make adjustments throughout the series.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think the series is pretty evenly matched all across. I think the only thing where it's like a mismatch is Aiden. Like, I don't know what the Clippers really do with Aiden. I know Zuba. I know that they played Boogie, Zoo. Maybe the combination of that can lessen Aiden's impact. But that's really the only place that I point to in this series, even when Chris Paul comes back. Because with the Reggie, I think the only 2 players who are 54-90 in the playoffs so far is Reggie Jackson and Chris Paul. You try and tell me if Reggie Jackson continues up this level of play, now he got to do it. But if he continues this level of play, he can't match Chris Paul for 2-3 games. I think he can. And also the thing with Devin Booker is last series, I don't think he could put on this type of performance throughout a whole series because I don't think he can hide the same way he hid on defense on the other end last series. Like last series, you had to guard Campazzo and like Austin Rivers. You can kind of sometimes take plays off with them. The Clippers, for the most part, all 5 guys can score. All 5 guys can give you 20 points if you allow them to give you 20 points. So he's going to have to compete on the other end of the court. But I'm with you. I'm going to say Clippers just because I think the Clippers have more experience. I think the Clippers had the better players, honestly. And I just like to look in Paul George eye. I like to look in Paul George eye, honestly, this whole playoffs. Like, even like after wins, he don't seem too high. He don't seem too low after losses. And I think that if I'm him, just on like a selfish note, if I'm him, I want to we got to the I want to not submit my legacy because he's done so much already, but I want to submit my legacy. And I think that he has a great chance to do that. And I just believe in Ty Lue. In game 1, I kind of threw out game 1 because they played 38 hours after they won game 6.
Yeah.
If they would have won that game, that would have been a miracle to me.
Mm-hmm.
You had to win the game, travel. I don't know how much scouting you can really do in 38 hours. Yeah. Obviously, the first night after you win, I don't think you scouting. You probably go to sleep. You wake up, so you look at stuff on the plane.
They had one film session. One film session. That was it.
Yeah, so you kind of don't even know what you're gonna do. Also, they had rotation of guys on the court. I haven't seen Boogie play in like 3-4 weeks.
No,
Boogie might not even damn didn't know he was gonna play.
That's what I love about Ty Lue. Great coaches, man, pull guys out, man. I've been telling TP and Pav, I'm like, since the first series, I'm like, man, I love what Ty Lue is doing. It irritates my soul, but I love it because it's so many adjustments. Like, he just pulled Boogie out the closet. Like, Boogie, come on.
Right.
He played like 15, 20 minutes. I mean, I don't know how much it was, but he played like a solid amount of time.
He had more points in the first half than he did in the whole last series that he played, But I do want to talk about that because to me, Phoenix is a pretty deep team. Obviously, they're going to get Chris Paul back in this series. We don't know if it's game 2, 3, or 4 when that's going to happen. But they have Booker, they have Bridges, they have Aiden, they have Crowder, they have Cameron Payne, who's been playing great. Cam Johnson. They've got a lot of different assets and guys who are in the rotation. Who needs to step up for the Clippers besides Paul George? They're probably not going to have Kawhi for this entire series. We know Reggie Jackson has become like the number 2 option on the team. But who needs to really step up like Boogie did in the first half? He gave them solid minutes, solid production. In the second half, became a bit of a defensive liability. You saw him kind of put up some Russian shots, and I was kind of like, get him out of there. But who needs to step up? Maybe someone that they haven't gotten as much from thus far in the postseason that really needs to become a factor for the Clippers to win.
Clippers.
Go ahead.
The Clippers, man. The Clippers as a whole unit. me and Pavy probably disagree. I do think Phoenix is more talented. You know what I mean? They have a ton of great players. I mean, right now, people don't know how great, but, you know, you're probably looking at 2 players that's going to be top 5 players in this NBA within the next 3-4 years. You know, the big and
Aiden's good, but top 5?
Yeah, Aiden's going to be the best big man in the NBA.
All right, we're going to record this clip because Aiden is good. I'm not down on Aiden.
He's much better. He's much better than good. He's exceptional.
All right, top 5 is bold.
Guy. He's an exceptional defender. Just look at him throughout this series. Look what he did to us. Look what he did to Jokic. Like, it's just being, again, because the average fan is so entrenched in scoring. Oh, who scored the ball? That's the only thing they see. Who scored the ball? That they don't understand the nuances and subtle changes in the game. Aiden has been the best player in the Suns uniform this playoffs. Straight up.
Yeah, no, he really has been great for them. Yeah, so, but to get back to my question, is there a Clipper? Is it like we need something out of Luke Kennard on a consistent basis? Is it Rondo, like Rondo was for the Lakers last year? Like
you're going to need everything to get it done.
Yeah. I think you need everyone, but if I had to put like a pinpoint somebody just to do it, I'm actually gonna say Boogie. Like Boogie was a guy who at one point in time was arguably the best big man in the NBA, arguably at one point in time. If he can, obviously he's not gonna be Aiden, he's not gonna, be as good as him. But if he can cancel him out some games, like if you expect 20 and 10 out of Aiden, what if Boogie randomly goes out here and give you 16 to 8? Even if it's in a half, like that's something that you weren't counting on having, and it's probably not going to be on the scouting report that nobody was counting on that he can give you. And also, that's 6 fouls. He can be physical. Right. He has good hands. He gives them an interior presence. Like Aiden's offensive rebounding has been incredible.
I got a question for you. Where is Patrick Patterson? Is he hurt? Does he not play? Is he a total non-factor? Like, he's a guy who's got length and he can hit threes.
I mean, he doesn't really play, but I mean, you never know. Ty might randomly in game 4, he gets thrown in there like the second quarter and hits 3 threes. Yeah. Who knows?
Producer TJ here. No way Patrick Patterson sees the floor. No way Patrick Patterson should ever see the floor this year for this team. No.
And is that why? He's a defensive liability?
Defensive liability. He doesn't create any momentum when he's in on offense. And literally the only thing he can do is stand in a corner. You might as well leave Terrence Mann in and struggle if he struggles.
I think the most important player is Zubac.
That's fair.
Because they're going to need a lot out of him. Their bigs are going to have to compete. I think they'll be fine in the backcourt. I think in the wing they'll be good. I think they need to compete in the front court more ferocious than they have in any series. You know what I mean? Because I do think Aiden's been the Suns' best player throughout the playoffs. You know what I mean? And most important. So I think Zubac becomes the real person that you're going to need a special series out of. He's going to have to do a lot of things defensively, and he's going to have to do a lot of things offensively. He's going to have to break. He's going to have to break, runs. He's going to have to get stops. He's going to have to, make some blocks in the lane. He's going to have to really go to work. I think this is a series where his name, if it was one name written all over it for me, it's going to be his name.
Okay. Well, we'll get into your series predictions a little later in the show, but we got game 2 tomorrow night in Phoenix. It looks like Chris Paul's going to miss that one too. How important is it for the Clippers to steal one of these games before CP3 is back on the court? Or you just got to get them, you got to get 4 anytime?
You got to win every game.
Yeah.
It's important, and I agree. Now that they're down a guy, you would love to get this game. You would love to steal home court advantage. You need to. If you get this game, it creates doubt. Nothing like doubt in professional athletes' mind or human beings' mind. So
for sure,
this game would be really special. It would make, Monty go back and think, make some changes. You know what I mean? You got to win every game possible.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, well, I'm excited for this series. It's going to be a good one. The games in LA will be crazy. We thought it would be Clippers-Lakers conference finals. That's what we thought the last 2 years in a row, but one of the 2 teams disappointed us each year. But the Clippers are representing the city of Los Angeles this year in the conference finals for the first time in their 51-year history. But let's move over to the Eastern Conference, where we got 2 Game 7s in the semifinals, 2 incredible matchups that led to our conference finals matchup, which we'll talk about. But let's first talk about the Hawks and the Sixers game that happened last night. I thought for sure Philly was going to pull this one out. I just thought they have too much talent. They're not going to blow this opportunity. again and again. I was wrong because Trae Young, who had an off shooting night, still got it done, hit clutch shots in the end. And that team, Red Velvet, Kevin Huerter, man, that guy was on fire, and he carried the Atlanta Hawks last night. A real team win and a real disappointment for Philadelphia. How much of this series was the Atlanta Hawks emergence and winning, and how much of it was the Philadelphia 76ers disappointing everyone?
117% Doc Rivers.
Okay, all right. Let us have it. Doc Rivers. Why is this all on Doc again?
He did the same thing last year. He's done the same thing as a Clipper. He's done the same thing as a Celtic. He's just okay. The world is going to scream Ben Simmons. It's easy. He's 2 for 4. He didn't shoot a ton of shots, minus his 13 assists, minus his outstanding defense, picking Trae Young pocket time in and time out in the fourth quarter. Yep. Trae had a horrible game. Minus all of these great contributions. Everybody can only see one specific place in the stat sheet. Minus all of this man's monster game. Monster, great defensively, excellent defensively, passing insane. The issue is for 4 games straight, Ben Simmons didn't shoot in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Not Ben Simmons didn't score in the fourth quarter.
Didn't shoot.
Ben Simmons didn't take a shot.
Yep.
That is a coaching problem. Mm-hmm. Ben Simmons is your second greatest offensive player on the floor. Mm-hmm. He may not be the most skilled scorer. He's your second best offensive player on the floor. You create looks to get that person easy shots to get him going. You make sure you know as a coach, it's important that you have this young guy who's in his 4th year in uncharted territories. Hey, I'm going to create some opportunities in this fourth quarter to get you some easy buckets. This is a problem. When you're not shooting, it's one thing to not score. It's another thing to not shoot. That's a coaching problem. You coach your players up. You coach their confidence up. Doc did the same thing to Paul George. He didn't create easy opportunities last year. In that series, it cost him the series. You have to create confidence in your players. He is one of the worst people I've ever seen at this. Ever been.
Well, he is the only coach to blow a 3-1 series lead more than one time. He's done it 3 times. He's lost, if you include the bubble, 5 Game 7s at home. If you don't include the bubble, 4 of them home games, Game 7, and he's lost those. And even in this series, so many opportunities lost, from leading the series to Game 5 when they were up by 26-some points and blew that lead. I mean, it just seems like so many missed opportunities for Philly. And especially when you look around the league, there are no Lakers. The Nets get eliminated. It's like, Philly, the process. If you have a chance, this was your opportunity. This was it right here. And they couldn't seize that moment. But how about Joel Embiid? Let's talk about him. We talked about Doc Rivers and Ben Simmons. What were your thoughts on Joel Embiid? I mean, he really showed a lot of heart playing through a torn meniscus in this series, 7 games, gutting it out. What does he need to get Philly over this hump?
I mean, a better coach. I mean, there's no reason you should be playing Embiid 19 feet away from the front, 19 feet away from the rim in the last 3 or 4 minutes of a game.
Right. Yeah.
It's Doc. It's Doc. It's Doc. It's Doc. It's Doc. It's always been Doc. Wow. So I watched in Game 7 against us in 2010 against the Lakers. It was Doc.
Yeah.
It's always been Doc. It was Doc in 2009. Doc had an MVP Defensive Player of the Year, a Hall of Famer in Ray Allen, a great player in Paul Pierce, a future Hall of Famer in Rajon Rondo. This is what he does, man. It's a real serious issue. And I hate that in this series, Ben Simmons is going to take the majority of the blame. I'm so disappointed in fans. They're the best at looking at every column. They're not looking at this man on the floor make defensive stops. In the fourth, he's picking Trae Young's pocket, man. He's the best thief in town. This is probably the greatest defensive backcourt player in the NBA, and all people can look at is his scoring. He was 2 for 4.
You got to look at that, though. You do have to look at that. And whether it's the coach or him, you got to talk about the fact that, like, the man in a 7-game series attempted 3 field goals in the fourth quarter of 7 games. That's crazy. And some of that's coaching, but some of that's got to be on the player. Like
zero on the player. Zero.
I put more than 0 on it. Pavy,
it's on the player if he doesn't score in the fourth, right?
Yeah.
If you take 5 shots and not scoring, like it's on Luka when you're taking the shots and you're not scoring.
Sure.
It's on Doc when you're not even taking the shots.
Oh man. Well, Pavy, what are your thoughts here on this? Because Glass is saying Doc takes all the blame.
I just think people always like be on, because like people love when you average 20 points. Ben Simmons doesn't average 20 points. I mean, he could if he took the shots to average 20 points. Like, I mean, he gives you like 16 points on like 12 shots. I mean, he shot even in this series. Now, obviously, his free throw shooting was god awful. You got to better than 33% from the free throw line, and that could have a lot to do with Doc losing trust in him in the fourth quarter and not wanting to run plays for him because he's not making free throws. So you think if he gets fouled, he won't make them. But even in that game 7, I mean, I thought the fact that I think he got fouled with about like 1:50 left. He missed the first free throw. Obviously, the crowd was like, "Oh my God, you missed the free throw." He made the second free throw. So again, I don't know what Doc was calling, but yes, I do agree. As a coach, you have to help your players along a little bit. Yeah, you would love for, Simmons to just be like, yo, I'm going to just run and just take the ball and do whatever. But if you call in plays for handoffs for Seth, or things for Embiid, or things for Tobias, maybe he doesn't feel empowered enough to be able to will himself to take over in those situations. But for me, it's on everybody. Even now, Embiid, I think him being the guy he is and the force that he is, I think Embiid can call his own number and get himself in the scenarios that he wants to be in. And then again with Doc, why you like the last play so many games in this series? Why is he dribbling out like he's Kyrie Irving from 26 feet away, especially if he has a bad knee? Like if he has a bad knee, I would think that the place you would want to put him would be close to the rim. If he has a bad knee, especially after playing 40-some minutes, his knee's probably on fire. Put him closer to the basket so at least he could turn around and, lay the ball up or something like that. But I don't know. With Doc Rivers teams and with Phillies teams, even the Clippers over the years, Boston over the years, it's just like so many things that you're like, yo, how did this go wrong? How did this go wrong? How did this go wrong? I hate throwing everything on Doc.
Common denominator. Doc.
I hate throwing everything on Doc because again, the players do play the games, the coach can only do so much, but they're like glad there is one common denominator in all this when things fall apart. It's Doc Rivers. So,
well, another common denominator about what happened to Philly and the New York Knicks is Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. He was able to lead them into 2 back-to-back series that most people predicted them to lose. And here on Who Got Game, you never know who's going to come through. I want to bring on a Knicks fan, someone who was rooting against the Hawks from the jump, Ashley Nicole Moss. Ashley, thanks for being here. I hope you've recovered from the Knicks being eliminated. And how does it make you feel now that you see the Hawks in the conference finals? Are you like, all right, well, at least we lost to them, or were you rooting against them, against Philly?
It's such a weird question. I get that question a lot. Like, does it justify the loss because the number 1 seeded team lost to the Hawks too, so then it's not so bad? Right. I guess if you're like a glass half full type of person, I tend to be more of a pessimist. So it doesn't really make a difference to me that at the end of the day, they still won. So like, I don't really care the justification that people make to kind of, soothe the wound, if you will.
Yeah.
For me, I'm pissed because the 76ers, this was supposed to, be an easy win. Not easy, but it was supposed to be easier than it was for the Knicks, obviously. They were supposed to go ahead and send Atlanta home and avenge my loss. It was supposed to make me feel better because I'm in Cancun, but they're in Cancun too. Now I'm sitting next to Embiid in Cancun, and it doesn't really feel quite the same way. And to make matters worse, now it's the Bucks and the Hawks, and I'm very conflicted because if you follow me on Twitter, me and Bucks Twitter do not get along. I can't root for the Hawks because they sent my Knicks home. I'm just very conflicted in this conference finals. I'm not looking forward to this at all.
Yeah, well, it's really a lose-lose for you, it sounds like.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about the Hawks and Sixers series. Who takes the most blame for Philly getting eliminated? Because they had a golden opportunity, a golden path to potentially their best path for them to win a championship was probably this year and this season. It's had so many chances. in every game, blowing big leads, and in this series. Do you put the blame on Doc Rivers? Do you put it on Ben Simmons? Is it on a little of all of it, or what are your thoughts on that, Ash?
I can't put all of the blame on Doc. He gets a big chunk of it for two reasons. One is you kind of already knew the hand you were dealt with Ben Simmons. It's not like he just got afraid to shoot yesterday or just in this series. We've been having this conversation about Ben Simmons for I feel like his entire career, except earlier in his career, you make the excuses. You know, he's young, he's a rookie, he's going to get acclimated to the situation, he'll get better. And every year he doesn't necessarily get better enough to where you don't need to have the conversation any longer. So with that, part of it's on Ben Simmons. I mean, if you can't shoot or you're afraid to shoot because you're in your own head, that's one thing. At 6'10", you should be able to dunk the ball. Like if you're underneath the rim and you have a wide open dunk, you literally just have to stretch your arm up to go ahead and make that basket. Like there's no excuse for that. So he's 100% responsible for his own participation in their losses. But Doc, you know, going back to him, you knew what it was when you signed up. You knew the type of player that Ben Simmons was. Your offensive schemes were supposed to go ahead and combat that. That is what you were there to do. You already knew what you had. So for him to really, I understand, you know, last game they got ahead and put Ben Simmons out. They don't want to hack a Simmons, right? But you have him out there stinking up the joint. The man will not shoot. What do? What's your plan B? You're seeing your plan A unfold in front of you on the court. It's not working. What do? It's the same the same thing I kind of felt about Tobias Harris in that game. The man could not hit the side of a bus. Like, I understand he had a couple of clutch shots here and there, and I use clutch loosely, but overall, he could not hit the side of a bus that entire game. So, Doc, you're seeing this unfold in front of you. Why are you not making the adjustments to combat that? It's kind of the beef I had with Tibbs in a lot of the series against the Hawks and also in the regular season. It's like watching one game in front of you, but your mind is playing the version of the game that you were prepared for. That's not how basketball works. What are your adjustments? And Doc got out coached. He got out coached when it came to the adjustments, and that's ultimately why they lost the game, in addition to Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris stinking up the joint.
Well, pretty telling in the post-game comments, Joel Embiid was asked what was the turning point in the game. He said it was that moment that Ben Simmons had a layup but opted to pass, and they got 1 point at the free throw line.
The only moment in the game is when his silly ass was 20 feet away from the rim trying to dribble the ball without ribs. That's the fucking turning point in the game.
But what's telling is Embiid throwing Simmons under the bus, and then Doc Rivers
he should.
But then Doc Rivers is asked in the post-game comments as well. He's asked, is Ben Simmons the point guard of a championship team? And he would not answer that question. He said, I don't know the answer to that question. Doc, let me ask you this. How many of you think Doc Rivers will be the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers next year?
He will be.
He will be. He will be. How many of you think Ben Simmons will be on the Philadelphia 76ers next season?
I pray to God he's not.
He won't be.
I think
I don't think so.
50.
Here's how I feel about this. You know, I'm conflicted on that argument for a reason, because if this were prior to this series, like, okay, hypothetically, say the 76ers never made the playoffs, right? Let's just make that the hypothetical.
Yeah.
Then I can see perhaps a trade with Simmons happening. But now you're in a situation where you have all these teams, these front offices that just watch what just transpired in the series you were supposed to win. The 76ers, whether or not you had them in your pick, they were the favorites to go ahead and come out of the East after Brooklyn got, sent home. Like, they were the favorites. Some people even had the favorites over Brooklyn before that series even happened. So for you to go ahead and fumble that bag, but now you have all these other teams watching what transpired. If I was a team, especially if I was a team that needed offensive help, I'm not trading for Ben Simmons. I just saw him stink up a playoff series. You want me to do what with him? Now, if you're a team that needs defensive help, that's a different conversation because Ben Simmons is a great defender. If you already have shooters on your team and you're bringing him in and you don't need him to shoot the ball, you strictly need him to defend, like say in a Golden State scenario, then okay. But then that another conversation is who are you willing to give up for Ben Simmons because you're getting half a player because he won't shoot the ball. So it's a very tricky situation.
I got to trade. I would think Philly should trade Ben Simmons for a point guard for Baron Davis. Let's bring him on. BD, Baron Davis, in-house. The Sixers need you, my man. What's up,
Great
BD?
introduction, Jason.
That's what I do,
What's
bro.
happening, Ash? What's up,
Hey.
What's up, Pavy?
What's up, bro?
What's happening?
BD, we've been talking, man, about all the
I've been
series.
listening.
Yeah, and who takes more of the blame for what happened in Philly? They had a golden opportunity this year, and they blew it in game after game this series. Is it on Ben Simmons not shooting in the fourth quarter, not looking for his shot? Is it on Doc Rivers for not making the adjustments? Is it on someone else? Is it on Daryl Morey for not putting more pieces in place?
I mean, I would say, you definitely, if I'm Ben Simmons at home and I'm just replaying the game in my head, just thinking about, I should have just taken those shots anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to put, the responsibility on Ben Simmons. Then the next responsibility would be, obviously on the coach, because the coach should be putting his best players in a position to be their best. Don Nelson, who I played for, he always said, we're going to exploit your strengths and always hide your weaknesses. And so, for certain players, like a Michael Petrus, who shot a lot of threes and, wanted to do a lot, Nelly, kind of told him, like, yo, the best way you're going to shoot the ball or get your shots is in the corner. Every time you get a corner shot, you can shoot it. You make plays from the corner. If you're on the wing, you pump fake, you drive it, or you shoot if you open. Then, you give certain players that, have deficiencies, you give them guardrails, right? But you still put them in their best capacity to be great. And, all of that Ben Simmons is going through. I don't think that there is a play call for him, ran for him to get to the front of the rim when I'm looking at somebody who's 6'9", 6'8", who can handle the ball like that. Why the fuck ain't he getting to the front of the rim every freaking time down the court? You know what I mean? Why is he as ineffective as, Bruce Brown, right?
Mm-hmm.
You mean to tell me Ben Simmons can't be around the bucket, getting layups, tip-ins, dunks, penetrating the lane, and I look at him as, his shot ain't no different than Giannis. So he should have been put in a situation, regardless of whether his shot's ugly or not, falls or not. He should have the ultimate confidence going into that playoffs to know, like, it's on my shoulders to make it or break it, and not be put in, a situation where, every shot he shoots, for his entire career is feel like it's a personal shot, a personal situation. So, I blame the coach for not having nothing to get him going inside to the basket, make him create. Ben Simmons is a hell of a fucking offensive player outside of his shooting, and I don't think that they put his talent on display. Glasses and I, we always talk about, fits, right? And if it's the right fit, but I just think that, Doc is not used to a player like Ben Simmons, and Doc kind of like cringed up a little bit, as far as rotation, as far as, some of the play calls. You had Seth Curry and you worried about Ben Simmons, but, I would have been putting more focus on Seth Curry to be that, to be that second guy, right? To be that second guy. I thought Joel Embiid was the focal point, and Joel Embiid should have been he should have been the glue, right? He should have started it and ended it, right? So, you blame some of that on some of the coaching, and then overall they just don't have the talent to make up. I always said that they just haven't seemed to put the right pieces together to build a team that I think is a championship team.
Let's talk for a second, because we're talking about obviously what Philly didn't do and why they didn't win, but we're not talking a lot about the Atlanta Hawks. 3 years ago today, Trae Young was drafted, and now he's leading a team to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Sorry, Ashley, they had to go through your Knicks to get there. But I mean, can the Hawks beat the Milwaukee Bucks? Obviously, the Bucks are a heavy favorite in Vegas.
No.
No. You give them any chance?
No.
I mean, people were doubting them against the Sixers. They were doubting them against the Knicks, and they got it done.
This is different.
This is different. I agree.
At this point, you're in the conference finals. Any team is beatable. The way Trae Young is playing, the way Clint Capella is playing at the front of the rim, you know, the way their wings are stepping up, and don't forget about that X factor, Lou Williams. You know, Milwaukee is going to have a tough time with Lou Williams, and whoever is coming off the bench from Milwaukee, you got to think Milwaukee is tired. They haven't extended to their bench. You know, their bench does have some defensive deficiencies, you know, and a lot of those guys, you know, won't see the light of day. So you're going in with a, you know, an overtime win against Brooklyn, Game 7. You're going to be a little tired, and guys are still, hopefully, you know, they get some rest and be in rhythm, but I don't think that they're going to, that pace that Atlanta's going to play with is going to be a little bit different than the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be a lot faster.
Let me say something real fast before we jump off into this madness that BD, that big dog talking about. Let me say this. Ben Simmons has been the fourth scoring option for Philly all year long. All year long. All year long. So he's still the fourth scoring option in the playoffs. So this mentality that he's supposed to wake up one day like, hey, well, I'm just going to go out. Ben Simmons is 23. He's in his fourth year. He's a super gifted athletic specimen out of this, probably the second best athlete in the NBA. He's this fantastic playmaker and passer.
Skill.
He's the best defending backcourt player I've probably ever seen. I mean, Gary Payton is the guy, but this guy is right behind Gary Payton. I mean, he's Michael Jordan is probably even more monstrous. You know, he's just that type of defender. Back to beating points, you have to draw things up to get him going. But if you treat him like the fourth option, you can't get mad in the playoff
when he plays like the fourth option.
This is something that you've conditioned him for a season. I'd put Ben Simmons 13 feet. I want Baron Davis to become a coach. I need to be a part of his coaching staff. Let me just get a pen and pad. I'm not going to be on the sideline.
Let me do scouting, bro.
I just need to draw things up and be like, look at these matchups. I don't want to be there with my little suit on. I just think mathematically, Doc does the worst job at getting his players going. He did the same thing. And fast forward to the Bucks. That's why I wanted to bring it here.
Yeah.
Look at Drew Holiday in Game 7. Drew Holiday was struggling the first 3 quarters. He couldn't hit anything. Anything.
Yep.
Bud, who I think is a good coach, a great defensive coach. He doesn't make a ton of adjustments, which ends up hurting him in the playoffs. But then again, he also was losing to really good teams. He lost to Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors, you know, with Nick Nurse and Martin Small. He lost to Bam Adebayo, Jay Crowder, and Jimmy Butler. That's not here right now, right? That's not here. As far as Ash and the Knicks, more minutes for Ntilikina to guard. More minutes for Frank Nitty to guard Trae Young because that's what destroyed y'all.
Can I just say how you butchered that man's name?
Right, Frank Nitty, right? More minutes for Ntilikina to guard, right?
Ntilikina, I think, right? Ntilikina, right? Frank Ntilikina, right? Yeah. Okay,
but then again,
I think we have to censor what he called him the first time. I don't even know if that's a word what he called him.
But more minutes for him. I wish Tibbs gave him more minutes, right? Because that's what you needed. But prime example, when we seeing Trae Young in this series, Trae Young wasn't really that fantastic. He was pretty good. The credit goes to Nate. Nate is unbelievable.
Yeah. Danilo had a 133 offensive rating.
Bro,
for the series. Like
the position he put his players in to score.
Yep.
Well, No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, the schemes he ran on Embiid to keep Embiid below 47% from the field. Every time he needed to stop against Embiid, he let Embiid be Embiid for the most part, but when he needed those stops, he was able to go get it.
And I think is going to be what the difference is in this series is if Atlanta, because I think that the Bucks have the better, more seasoned team that should win this series. But I think that if the Hawks do come out on top, it's going to be of two reasons. One is Nate McMillan, who has proven himself. I mean, I think they should just take the interim head coach off his name, just give him the job. Because he's already proven that he's the man for the job. So I don't know why they keep keeping that tag on his name, but that's a different conversation.
That's crazy.
And two is if Milwaukee, Bud being the defensive mind that he is, if Milwaukee can avoid falling into the trap. Because Atlanta, especially Trae Young, likes to draw you into fouls. He is somebody who plays a version of basketball that not everybody is a fan of. Okay, he goes a little foul hunting a lot. That's his thing. But it's also ingenious because it gets you into trouble and it gets him at the line and it's free points. So if Milwaukee can avoid falling into the trap that the Hawks, especially Trae Young, likes to consistently set, I personally don't see Atlanta being able to go toe-to-toe with the Bucks. I just don't. I think that they'll get a game. I think I'll even be generous and give them 2 games, especially at home in Atlanta. But I just think overall, the Bucks have been here before. They know what works. They know what doesn't work. They've gotten better. They've gotten more solid. They've gotten more complete. This is a different team than we saw play the Miami Heat. And I think that's why ultimately, yes, the Kevin Durant situation, if his foot wasn't so damn long, they'd probably be going into the conference finals himself. But I think also when you look at that series, and one of the critiques I had of Brooklyn was that they were a very star-dependent team versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee wasn't more talented. They were more solid. And sometimes that works because when you're a star-dependent offense like Brooklyn is, if all 3 of you are healthy and you're clicking and you're moving, it's easy money. But what happened is, like Phil Jackson said, winning a championship is 50% luck, and that luck is health. And what happened was they got bit by the health bug. And Milwaukee KD was out there fighting for his life.
Last series, Milwaukee, everything that was luck went Milwaukee's way. They got
exactly.
Luck. So they need to ride out on this luck because they could have shot their wide. You feel what I'm saying? Like they could have shot their wide.
No.
And they were dominated by a Brooklyn team. They were outperformed by a Brooklyn team.
No.
They got lucky. They hit some shots. You know what I mean? Brooklyn made some mistakes. But they got lucky. Milwaukee Bucks got lucky.
They didn't get
like Milwaukee.
Right? Now they got lucky glasses. Come on.
I also think if it was one way that Bud out-coached Steve Nash with just in minutes. Like, why is KD playing 53 minutes? Why is Harden playing 46 minutes?
Who else do they have?
Listen, Listen. You're not finna tell me you can't sneak KD a minute of game rest, which especially in front of a TV timeout is like 3-4 minutes of actual time, and that's 5 minutes of rest. That man could have. That's
what he did take. Those were the rests.
No, he didn't. He didn't take any rest.
The TV breaks were his rest. Those were his rest.
Steve Nash didn't do something for KD. Explain it. How did Bud outcoach Steve Nash?
Because Bud found more rest for his star guys. Even if it was a minute or 2, he still found more rest. And I think
Pavy, that's not fair though.
What
that's
you mean?
Fair.
Coaches
that's not fair.
Wait.
That's
not fair.
Rotation isn't a part of coaching.
Here's the thing, though. But you're asking. And then listen, I'm not a Nets defender by any means. I'm very glad that they're in Cancun with the Knicks.
Lost that series.
You can't ask Nash though to rotate what he does not have, and this is what the problem was.
He got
Hold on. This was the problem that I had with Tibbs too, and this is what Knicks fans were pissed about. You're playing Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, all these minutes, but what is your other option? Kyrie's out. James Harden's on one leg. You have Dinwiddie who you can't play. You only have
KD. Who you gonna play? You can't throw DJ to stand next to Book for 30 seconds.
He had the TV timeout. That was the only time you could give him.
You drink beers and watch basketball games, bro. It's game 7. You're not taking out your best basketball.
You better.
And look, that is why down the stretch, and that is why down the stretch.
Your margin for error is 8. 10,
Exactly.
12.
And that is why down the stretch, some of those guys did not have the legs that they like. Joe Harris did not have the legs he needed to have down the stretch. Neither did KD.
Joe Harris was bricking all game and wouldn't have made a difference.
Want to know why? Because he has to guard Middleton and run up the court and rebound all day because nobody else is getting any time.
You could have gave that man. You could have gave Joe Harris a quarter of rest, and he's still gonna be out there bricking.
That made him outcoach Steve Nash.
The Nets were never going to win this series.
I mean, it's hard to say that, Glasses, when it came down to one shot and one toenail. I mean,
it didn't come down to one shot and one toenail. It came down to an overtime. See, your memory gets short, and I don't like it.
I mean,
Durant game. Like, it didn't come down to one toenail.
It kind of did.
It kind of did.
It kind of did.
No, it didn't because you had an overtime.
But the game wouldn't have gone into overtime if his foot wasn't so long.
Yeah, but those things happen.
On the line is what allowed it to go into overtime.
Especially Pavy. I think Steve Nash outcoached.
They never had a chance.
He went to his best player.
Never had a chance.
No. Listen. Look, listen. I think offensively, Bud was terrible. Even the play that ended up Brook Lopez getting the ball in the corner with 6 seconds left. What the hell is that? But I said the one area that I think he did get right was rotations and minutes. You have to find some of those guys some rest.
But you got to think, Brooklyn didn't have a deep bench.
They didn't.
I don't think you need a deep bench. Throw somebody out there for 30 seconds.
Who
is the Bucks?
What you mean? You got Harden. You can't throw Luol Captain out there for 30 seconds. You can't throw Mike James out there. You can't tell DeAndre Jordan to stand next to Brook Lopez for 30 seconds so we can get to the TV timeout and get 5 minutes of rest for Kevin Durant. How?
Who is the Bucks rotation?
The Bucks rotation is tight. There's like.
What are we talking about?
They still found rest for those guys.
They have okay. First of all,
the Bucks played. I think
Mike James wasn't playing big minutes in game 1 and 2.
First of all,
minutes.
the entire thing that the Nets didn't stand the chance, I think, is asinine. That's crazy. And to say that it didn't come down to one toenail, obviously, look, there's a lot of things that go on in the course of a game, but let's not pretend that if KD's foot was half a size smaller, that the game would have been over and the Bucks would have been home.
So let me tell you something, man. Hold up, Baron. Hold on. Let me say this. Let me say
big different. If his foot wasn't so damn long, they'd be in the conference finals right now.
That's basketball, though, bro.
Let me say this. Okay,
I agree it's basketball, but you can't say it didn't come down to that because it did not come down to that.
Shoe size, because it was a shoe size all season. It didn't come down to injuries because it's been injuries all seasons.
We're talking about this game. We're talking about this game.
It was the
same.
We're
talking about this game. Okay, we're talking about this game. Game 7. We're talking about game 7. Game 7, you said out of your own mouth that it did not come down to his foot being so long. But I'm asking you, if his foot was half a size smaller and he made that shot, who would be the conference finals?
It did come down to that. His foot been that size his whole life, though. So how we doing that?
But in this, been that size his whole life. But we're talking about this game. We're talking about an isolated incident, though. We're talking about an isolated incident. I don't care about what happened in the regular season. We're talking about game 7.
He hit a big shot.
What was his shoe size in game 6?
Overtime. Brooklyn got.
What was his shoe size in game 6?
I'm not saying. I'm not. Oh my God.
You have the question. What was the shoe size?
Glasses.
If anything, KD should know what the line is.
Glasses. We're saying it was close.
That's what I'm saying.
They never had a chance.
They played in the overtime. They never had a chance. Defense prevailed as it should.
All she's saying is his foot.
All she's saying is it's ridiculous. It's readily
close. That would have been the difference.
It would have been the difference.
Advancing.
If the feet was half inch shorter, it would have still been a 2. If it was half inch longer, it would still been a 2.
We're not saying that. We're
not telling you where to shoot.
It's too high. I'll get it down off the shelf for you.
To send the game to overtime.
I'm tall enough. You don't have to reach.
All right.
It was an incredible shot to send the game into overtime.
It was a lucky shot. and his feet was the same size.
That wasn't luck, bro. Don't do that.
That wasn't lucky.
Kevin Durant.
That wasn't a lucky shot. He
It was
practiced that.
lucky.
He practiced that. It wasn't
He
a
had a
lucky shot.
decent look.
If
It was
anybody
lucky.
has luck, it was the Milwaukee Bucks.
It was a lucky shot.
The Milwaukee Bucks in Game 7, just so you know, they played 6 guys. Bryn Forbes played 5 minutes. That was their 7th guy, 5 minutes. And Thanos, or whatever his name is, Antetokounmpo, played 51 seconds. So other than that, 6 guys in their rotation.
So Pavy is right. You can find
You can't throw 1 or 2 other people out there. Gee,
Right.
that was the Bucks.
Gee, listen though, bro. Listen, bro. Even the very last shot. Listen, BD. Listen, BD. Even the very last shot. BD, listen.
Hold up, Pav. Hold up. Let me make a point for you. The reason Steve Nash got out coached, BD, I'm gonna show you why he got out coached, BD. Listen, because the last shot, he could have called a timeout and got KD 2 minutes of rest.
But he was dead tired. Also, KD could have just took it to the rim, but he was dead tired.
You know what? I'll say this.
Yeah.
I blame the last shot on KD and Harden, because anytime you get the ball with 12 seconds, you're supposed to go. And I am a firm believer that this age of NBA players play some of the most unorthodox game of time management. And I'm down 2 points. I want to get the quickest fucking shot up, so if I miss, there's more time on the clock.
He was tired.
That's true.
Wind the clock down and take game-winning shots.
He played 53 minutes.
He was tired. He didn't want to go to another overtime.
Think about how many times in life you ever played 53 minutes in one game.
Calling the timeout gives them a better chance to set their defense, run through their coverages, and get the matchups they
want. But the offense you're depending on, BD, is no leg.
All they had to do is when Harden got the ball, they should have just waved it and let Harden come up, and they should have got a shot with 6 seconds on the clock. They would have had one more possession.
They tired though, bro.
Call a timeout because you would have had to call 2.
I agree.
Yes, you have to call 2 timeouts to advance the ball, bro.
They had 2.
It was already bounced. It was already advanced. So calling the timeout, you wouldn't have had you would have still been in the back court. You would have to call another timeout to get in the front court for the last second.
When you cross the half court line, you can't call a timeout, and you're still in the.
If you put the ball on the floor and you call a timeout, it's in the back court. You got to get it.
You call timeout.
When you cross the half court line, you can call a timeout, and you're advanced, right?
To advance it, if you catch the ball and advance the ball and call timeout, that is where your timeout will occur.
I don't think they should have
caught the ball. You cannot call a timeout. You might as well go. There was still enough money on the clock to shoot the ball at 6.
He was tired, bro.
Waited, which he shouldn't have. He should have went, tried to get a foul, and tried to
the right team won.
Tie the ball up with some seconds on the clock, just in case he missed.
I agree. That's what
the right team won. The right team that was always going to win won.
The team that
always
won,
going to win.
Wasn't even close.
No, it did not.
Yes, it did.
Come on, dude.
So you're not gonna say that. Listen, I'm not gonna discredit what Milwaukee has accomplished thus far. But for you to sit here and say with a straight face, glasses, that a lot of their accomplishments are not tied to luck is crazy to me. You got a Brooklyn Nets team.
To be fair, the Bucks were missing a starter as well. Dante was hurt.
You're not going to compare that to
what you mean.
James Harden being
Dante DeVito is a starter. Right? Dante DeVito is a starter. If you are a starter on the NBA team, I think you mean a lot to a team. I'm not just saying the man was hurt.
I'm not listening to you.
How?
I'm not listening to you. You're going to compare. You're going to compare.
Rotation is 8 players and you take somebody else. That don't matter.
You're going to compare. Listen, I'm not doubting that they missed them. But I'm not going to sit here and say that they missed him to the level that KD missed a healthy James Harden and a Kyrie Irving. That's crazy. Well, it's not even the same comparison.
I'm saying that they were also down a starter. You are saying the Nets were down 2 starters. Fair. They be KD and Kyrie 1,000% agree. I'm saying the Bucks were also down a starter.
I'm not doubting that they were.
Listen. Both teams were ailing. I thought the whole time the Bucks would win the series. I just thought that they had the defenders to be able to guard the Nets, and I thought that they could keep the Nets' two best players, which is KD, well, the Nets' two most efficient players, which is KD and Kyrie, from having the 50, 40, 90 games that I thought they would need to have to win those games, because of the fact I didn't think their defense would be what it actually was in that series, which is actually pretty decent. I didn't think
all you did was go around in circles to prove a point that I didn't try to combat. I'm simply saying I'm not going to compare the Bucks to missing Dante DiVincenzo, who I'm not going to discredit is a big part of their offense and their rotation, to Kevin Durant being out there with a one-legged James Harden and a no Kyrie Irving. It's not even the same equivalency, because even with Dante DiVincenzo out, I'm sorry?
Played 4 games with Kyrie Irving, and they lost 2 of them.
In this series?
Yes.
When did Kyrie play?
In game 1, 2, 3, and 4.
In the Bucks series?
Yes.
Yeah, he started the series.
Yes, Kyrie was there.
Didn't he get hurt at the end of the last
game 5? I think it was game 5, wasn't it?
No, game 4.
Game 4.
Game 3 or 4, I guess.
Yeah, not 3. In 3.
That's what I'm saying. When did he play in the Bucks series?
No, in this series. That's when
he got hurt. In this series. They lost.
Why did I think he got hurt in the first series?
Because you're making
that was Harden.
That was Harden.
Sorry,
Harden got hurt in game 1, came back in game 5, and then Kyrie got hurt in game 4 and was out the rest of game 4.
Well,
they lost 2 of the games.
Right. Kyrie got because with the tangle up with Giannis, right? And he stepped on his ankle.
They lost 2 of the games that Kyrie played in, and they lost 2 of the games that James Harden played in. They were never going to win. You can't say it's luck because they haven't been healthy all year. They played probably a combined of 7 games together. They have not been right all year. See, the thing is,
I agree. Listen, I didn't have them winning the championship. I want to make that very clear. I didn't think they were going to win the championship. If you run the tape, I've been very adamant about them not winning a championship because I feel like there's too many holes in their team. But I thought easily they'd make the Eastern Conference Finals. That I can't say that I didn't think.
No,
right.
Okay, I'm just saying I can't say that I didn't sit here and think that. I didn't think they were winning the chip, but I certainly thought they were going to make it out of the East.
We're talking injuries. Obviously, we're a big factor for the Nets all season and in this series. But injuries have been a huge factor for this entire NBA season. Nikola Jokic is the MVP, not just because he was an incredible player, but also because the other contenders for MVP all got hurt at a different point in the season. And the final 4 teams that are left standing are not any of the same Final Four teams that were in the bubble. Those teams broke down. Injuries are a huge factor. Your Lakers, glasses, losing Anthony Davis. I think all these teams, right? Injuries was a huge factor. LeBron came out and said, I told you so. This is what was going to happen with 71 days.
That's a damn excuse, and I don't want to hear that.
Okay, all right. I like that.
Let me get to this.
What's an excuse? The injury excuse?
The injury is an excuse. That's basketball. Let's talk about what happened. Last year, the NBA had an extra offseason. They had 120 days off. Then they came back and they played 28 games to decide the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had somewhere near 60 days off, and they started a season. It's not like these guys played 2 full seasons and came right back. They played 28 games after having 120 days plus off. That was 7 games in the regular season and another, 21 to win the championship.
Right.
Miami wasn't hurt. They were there. They just got whooped.
Miami was hurt.
No, Miami wasn't
hurt.
Who
wasn't hurt? Bam was hurt. Yes, he was. Dragic was hurt. Yes, he was. Yeah. Miami was hurt.
In the finals.
They were hurt. They didn't play most of those finals games. That's why Jimmy had that game where he played like
Bam got hurt in the postseason last year.
And then Dragic didn't play. What do you mean they weren't hurt?
This year. I think it's this year.
I'm not what I'm saying. I'm saying, right, this season Miami wasn't hurt.
This season. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, what I'm saying is injuries have been a part of this game.
Right.
This whole time. It's always been. When in 2016, 2015, LeBron James lost Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. In 2016, the Warriors lost Bogut. All of these things can matter depending on how your team is built around these schemes. How do they stop? How do they block shots? Bogut is key. In 2010, they lost.
Got hurt in game 6. I think it towards ACL. Kobe had 18 rebounds in game 7.
Yeah, like all of these things have happened. When Magic lost to the Bulls, James Worthy got hurt. It happens. So what I'm saying
Glasses, I agree with you, but it does feel like this season injuries have played more of a factor than in other seasons past.
That's just because you're
statistically, if you look at the numbers, it has. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Glasses, in terms of the math, but also if you're going to stick to the math argument, statistically, we do see and we have seen a higher number of not only injuries, but injuries amongst all-stars and star players. That's not us being dramatic. That just is what it is.
I mean, just look at the facts. I mean, we got the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard. We got the Nets, Kyrie Irving.
You have the Lakers, Anthony Davis, LeBron James. You have Jamal Murray.
Wait, real quick. Because me and Glass had this conversation. Let's go back to what I was saying. I think a lot of this is minutes management. Some of these coaches are playing these players too many minutes, especially with how many possessions are in games today. Why are you running guys out there 36, 37, 38 minutes for regular season wins? Like I said, even when I was watching the Clippers Jazz game, right before Kawhi got hurt, they were up like 12. It was foul, slow the game down, foul, slow the game down. The last quarter took like 30, 45 minutes. I'm like, yo, you should probably take Kawhi out the game. Just sit him down. If you want to keep PG out there, fine. You should not need both of them in the game to close out a 12-point victory with 4 minutes left. Sit the man down. So some of this stuff is minutes. Can you imagine if Harden goes out there and tears his whole hamstring? After playing 48 minutes with a bad hamstring?
I agree that it's partially minute management. I agree with that. But also, I think unlike other seasons that we've seen, remember, because this is a COVID-ridden season, you have makeup games. You have games of condensed scheduling. So unlike, regular seasons where it's like you play an away game and you have 3 days in between because you got to include travel. And now it's like, now you're scheduling games more back to back because you're trying to reduce travel. But with that, you're also increasing a probability of injury because you're increasing the amount of time that lack of time that these guys have to rehab, to rest, to get treatment, whatever the case is, because you're playing back to back. We've never seen a season like that, which on top of the bubble situation, on top of minute management, it's just a snowball effect of just injury. And that's what we're seeing.
But even the bubble though, even the bubble is an off season in 28 games for the championship team. So there was
that's not a full off season.
120 days is not a full off season.
What do you mean? The season ended in June. You started training camp. Well, no, because it started in December, right?
He's talking about Ashley. He's talking about the time between COVID shutting down the league in March and then them starting up again.
But I'm saying the bubble ended. The last teams were in the bubble in what, September?
But listen, what I'm saying, Ash. That's 20 games.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm asking you. The last team was September, right? September, October.
Yeah.
So if you were the Lakers or the Heat and you were the last man standing, you don't really have an offseason. The season started in December, whereas that's not a full offseason. And then you have to include training camp and somewhat scrimmages that they did have. That's not full offseason.
They didn't play a full season before.
But you still played a grueling basketball. I understand it's not a full. I understand it's not a full season, but that's kind of.
Listen,
that's kind of dismissing what those guys went through in the bubble. Let's keep it a buck. You may not think it's grueling. Pavy may not think it's grueling. You and I don't play professional basketball. I'm not going to go ahead and dismiss not only the level. Yeah, I'm not going to not only dismiss the physical strain, but the mental strain that these guys went through in that bubble. So to say that they had 20 plus games between the last two standing and the new season starting, I'm sorry, that's not a conducive amount of an offseason, especially what they went through mentally. Sometimes mental exhaustion is worse than physical. And yes, that doesn't have to do with your injury, but it's still not a true offseason. So maybe for the guys who got sent home in the first week, there's no excuse for them. But for LeBron and the Heat, I mean, that's a quick turnaround.
Wasn't injured though this year.
Who wasn't injured?
The Heat this year.
I believe somebody had it. I believe somebody was. Jimmy Butler was dealing with some injuries throughout the season. No, he had COVID. He had COVID, but then also he was dealing with something, I think, some sort of soreness or something like that. Tyler Hero had some issues going on. Bam still was working through his shoulder issues. It wasn't like they were completely like spring chickens.
But listen to what I'm saying, Ash. Listen. So you have 120 days off. That benefited our team, the Lakers. Right? Because you literally got to rest Anthony Davis, who's been injury prone for a while. LeBron, who was injured the first year he was a Laker. They got 120 days off.
Yes.
Right? Then they were able to play a season for a championship in 28 games. You sit back, you rest the players. You knew the season going into it. This is a lot to do. I'm not buying the LeBron stuff, Jason. It's because he was chasing the MVP. He was playing entirely 2 minutes this whole season. They were playing for first place. There's no reason to play these players for first place.
Right.
That's what happened. You start chasing after things that you don't need right now. You compromise the team. That's what happens. You literally should be. LeBron James is in year 18. I'm not buying that from him. You're in year 18. You shouldn't even be playing 30 minutes, especially coming off a 28-game season within probably 45 days before the season started. You are supposed to have the proper rest. Again, I agree with Pav. They're mismanaging minutes. They did a horrible job. Right now, we're talking about the Bucks rotation. The Nets could rotate a guy for 2 minutes. They had the same short line. Both of them didn't have great pinches. They didn't have guys to come off. That was crazy. So the reality is you find minutes for your guys. First off, you shouldn't be playing Kevin Durant like that right now. He's coming off probably a career-ending injury. You playing him 45 minutes in this series. You played him every minute of an overtime game in a game 7. Every minute of an he didn't even get 2 minutes. You didn't sit him down for 2 minutes. It's okay if you're down by 6 points. Every time they shot Giannis down, I'd be like, KD, come on, sit down. It is not that difficult. That's an excuse. BD is making an excuse. They never were going to win. They cannot defend. Giannis averaged 32 points a game at 58%. He was unstoppable. KD, they did a fantastic job on him day in and day out. He had some good games. He had a game where they won by 40, and then he had a game where him and Kyrie couldn't score 90 points. Defense wears you down. It's historically done the same thing. It's the same thing that happened to Trae Young in Game 7 of this series. Defense wears you down.
All right, Glasses, let's move this conversation forward. We got some big games coming up. No games today, but then basketball heading the conference finals every single day for the next week and a half plus. Can't wait for that. I want to get your quick predictions, all of you, who are going to win these next games. Let's start with game 1 of the Hawks and the Bucks. Who is going to jump out the gate and strike first, Hawks or Bucks? Well, let me just ask it this way. Is anyone picking the Hawks?
Well, where are they playing, Jason? Milwaukee?
It will be in Milwaukee.
Oh, the Bucks are going to win then.
All right. You guys like Milwaukee game 1?
I think if the Hawks have any chance to steal a game, it's this game.
Okay. So
not happening in Milwaukee.
I don't think it will, but like if they have any chance to steal a game, I think it's this game.
Well, then let's get your guys' quick predictions on the series. It looks like you're all picking Bucks. Bucks in how many games in this series?
I would ask. She said 6. I'm taking her speed.
And I'm not doing it because it's the truth. I wish they both could lose, but they can't. So my hands are tied.
I'm going Bucks in 5. I honestly think it should be a sweep, but it won't.
Yeah,
but I'm going Bucks in 5.
Don't got it to sweep, but it should be.
No, I'm going 6. I think Trae Young and the Hawks got 2 games. Especially, I don't think the Bucks. I think they'll win both of the games at home in Atlanta. So I think I'm gonna give them 2.
All right, I'm going Bucks in 6 as well. I would say Bucks in 5, but I thought it was going to be Sixers in 5 against the Hawks. And clearly, I'm just doubting the Hawks and not giving them any love or respect, and they keep showing up. So
screw the Sixers. They got me exposed on Old Takes Exposed, whatever that dang website is. They got me on there because I was like 1, 2, 3 Cancun, and then they ended up winning. No, but that was for the net. That was for the net. Screw the Nets. The Nets got me on that because I said that the Bucks were going to be in Cancun. They put me on that dang website. My timeline was flooded with freaking Bucks fans.
I'll give you some great advice, Ash. Bet on defense. As long as Doc Rivers ain't coaching it, bet on defense.
Yeah, you should have listened to Glasses, I guess. Stay off that.
No, this was for the Nets Bucks series.
That's what I'm saying. Bet on defense every time, long as Doc Rivers isn't coaching it.
Right.
Shady.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the other series, Clippers and the Suns. Who are your predictions for game 2 tomorrow night in Phoenix? Likely no Chris Paul. Who's going to win game 2? Clippers or Suns? Ashley,
I'm gonna be like that guy on that video. Suns in 4. No, I don't think it's gonna be 4. I'm gonna say Suns in 6. I think that the Clippers are gonna be able to take 2 games. I just think I think Chris Paul is going to come back before Kawhi does, and I think that's going to be the difference maker. Yeah. Clearly at home the Suns don't need CP3, but I think as the series progresses, especially when you travel to LA, you're going to need that leadership on the court. I think they'll have him for game 3 because he's been testing negative. So hopefully they'll have him for game 3, game 4, the latest. I think the Clippers, a safe bet is to bet on them at least once at home. I think they'll be able to steal one. But ultimately, I think the Suns are all systems a go. I mean, that team is incredible. I'm definitely on the Suns bandwagon. Glad I don't have to play them. So I'm going Suns in 6 for sure.
Okay, glasses.
Is Suns your pick to win the championship?
No. I'm saying Suns to win this series.
Okay. Everything about basketball says the Suns, right? For this next game. I found myself cheering for the Clippers for the first time in my life the other day. I'm so ecstatic for them. They have been
You're
bad.
one of those fake Laker fans. You're not supposed to do that.
Ooh, I like it. That's not true. See, and that's the thing. Like, as a real Laker fan, like, the Clippers have never been our rival. They've always been bad. They're like your little bad brother who does nothing good and just talks. Can't fight, can't do nothing. So it's okay that I cheer for my little brother to finally stop making a fool out of me. Finally, to get a banner up in our building that has all of my banners here.
Glasses.
So I'm going to pick the Clippers in game 2, and I don't know how they pull it off. They win in 7 games, and I don't know how. This is not a Glasses Malone basketball take because I'm usually mathematical.
Yeah. Hot takes exposed. Hot takes exposed.
Right. This is a hot take. Everybody say my takes. When I said the Bucks was going to win no matter what, that's a hot take. That wasn't. This is a hot take. Okay. I have no idea how the Clippers are going to win. I am going to bet in the Laker magic that Ty Lue has as a coach, because he's a Laker, and Jerry West and personnel. And I'm going to say that somehow the Clippers, the universe makes a space for the Clippers to win game 2 and somehow figure this out by game 7.
Wow. I love how somehow you give the credit to the Lakers. If the Clippers pull it off. So
that's all what he did there, right?
Yeah. Wow. Ty Lue was a Laker. Okay. All right, perfect. Hey, Glasses, if the Clippers win the championship, will you don one of those Clipper Daryl red and blue suits? I would love to see that.
Well, I never wear Clippers. Never.
Yeah, okay, all right.
First off, it's red and blue. That's just not cool. It looks like the Joker.
Yeah. It's not a stylish look.
Yeah,
but
it's a bad idea.
Yeah, applaud the man.
Bloods coming together. Somebody just came up with this horrible idea.
Who do you have, Pavy?
I'm going with the Clippers because they have to win. That going down 0-2 thing is cool when you have Kawhi Leonard on the court. Right. I don't think Kawhi Leonard's coming back for the rest of this playoffs. I would actually be very shocked. They said it's a knee sprain. They also said it's an ACL injury. You have a sprained ACL. I cannot imagine. A sprain is a partial tear. This is not me. I cannot confirm or deny. Do not know. Just judging all the information we've been presented. They said an ACL injury and a sprain. I Googled the shit. A complete rupture is when you tear your ACL. A sprained ACL is still a tear. Kawhi Leonard, with the injury history he has already had, I do not foresee him, especially off a contract year, even though he get the max regardless. I do not foresee him risking the rest of his career with the injury history he's had.
And he does not play when he's hurt. That's a true thing. You saw what he did in San Antonio. That man refused to get off the bench. He said, "No, sir, not I."
So I think they win game 2 because they have to win game 2. Yeah, you can go down 0-2 when you got one to not say, shout out PG, but when you got Kawhi Leonard out there, you can go down game 2. And also the Jazz and the Mavericks ain't the Suns. You go down 0-2 against the Suns, you might not come back at all. Yeah. So I'm going to Clippers because they have to win, or else we might not be here too long.
That's your pick to win the series or just the game?
I think the Clippers win the series. Like, I'm with Glass. I think they figure it out somehow. I also think the only mismatch really, I think everything is pretty even except for Aiden. They can somehow figure out a way to combat Aiden and equalize Aiden. I think the Clippers have a chance.
So wait, so if the Suns beat them again, are you still sticking by that prediction?
No. If the Suns beat them again, it's either Suns in 5. They might get swept.
So game 2, you're saying is the most.
They need to win the game. Kawhi not coming back, bro. I don't know why people. Kawhi not. I would be floored if Kawhi comes back. He's not coming back, bro.
Maybe the finals. Maybe
Kawhi's not coming back.
I don't think he's coming back, bro.
Listen, the Laker magic of Zubac, the Laker magic of Ty Lue, and the Laker magic of assembling the talent that Jerry West did gets it done in game 2, and somehow the Laker magic happens in 7 games.
Someone told us to stop the cap because Kawhi did play hurt in Toronto.
That ain't a sprained ACL.
That's different.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm just reading.
Let me sprain
He's
you.
not coming back.
Let me sprain your ACL until you go guard Devin Booker.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
All right. Well, it's going to be fun to see. Glasses is picking the Lakers mojo.
And real fast,
yeah,
the Bucks to win it all.
Yeah, I thought
at this point that's not a wild take.
It was always my pick unless they had to play against Philly.
Oh,
I think I picked the Bucks.
You don't even want to get into that. Why you thought that with Doc Rivers?
Oh my God, they're going to be unbearable if they win. Jesus.
Yeah, the Bucks. I mean, I thought whoever won that Game 7 between the Bucks and the Nets, they would be the NBA champions.
Let's go Suns. Let's go Suns.
Let me ask you a question, Jason.
Yeah.
Who would be the worst team because of their fans to win the title?
The Milwaukee Bucks.
No, the Clippers.
Of the 4 remaining?
Yeah. Who would be the worst team where you'd be like,
the Suns. I got a homie who has a Suns fan. I don't even want to link with this man right now.
I think the Clippers. The Clippers have been so horrible.
Now the Clippers are only gonna bother a small demographic of people, and that's Lakers fans. The rest of us could care less.
Me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just you, Glasses. But don't worry. I'm sure they'll give it all credit to the Laker mojo of Ty Lue, Zubats, and Jerry West from their Laker days.
Magic, baby.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to give a special shout out to a new partner we have on the show, Polymarket. It's a really cool thing. We're going to be talking more about that in upcoming episodes. It's a cool marketplace where investors can bet on the outcomes of future events and earn profits from their prediction accuracy. So if you think the Bucks are going to win it all, there you go. It's like this is the type of place where you can actually make money on that sort of thing. So check out Polymarket, and we will get into more of what they can offer in future episodes. But a big shout out and thank you to Polymarket for making this possible. We're excited to be working with you guys moving forward. Now, before we get out of here, I got another NBA Top Shot pack to drop. Hopefully we get maybe a Ben Simmons card. I'm sure that's trading for a lot of money these days.
Give that to me. I'll take it because I know what it's going to be worth.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'll give you the Ben Simmons card. All right, maybe if we got a Knicks card for Ashley, that'd be good.
I'm claim the Ben Simmons.
Give me Julius Randle.
Randall, you're claiming a Ben Simmons. Yeah, each of you, we're going to give these away to fans out there and followers of the show.
Ben Simmons, I'm the only one who wants it because I know what it's going to be worth in the future.
If we get Ben Simmons, you get a Glasses. Ashley, you get Julius Randle. Pavy, you pick anyone. If we pull them, you get this one.
Zach LaVine. Let's go with the crib.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right.
Zach LaVine.
Still better than Devin Booker, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, tell me that in the comments.
We're not doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. We're opening up an NBA Top Shot pack.
Ben Simmons.
All right.
Ashley, go number 2.
Number 2?
Yeah.
All right. Ashley's going in the middle. Here we go. Let's see. Is it Julius Randle? It is from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Not bad. And this is if you know NBA Top Shot, not a kind of a low serial number here, 8,000 something out of 40,000 moments. A nice reverse layup from Shea. He's the crown jewel for the Oklahoma City Thunder they're building around. That team has 12 draft picks this year.
It's a whole lot of picks. And you know they're going to turn Kemba Walker into more picks too at some point. All right, Glasses, where do you want to go next? Left or right?
It's always to the left, brother. It's always to the left.
Right.
Okay, why'd I even ask? Here we go. To the left. Let's see. Who we got? From the Hornets, Devontae Graham jumper. All right, that's a low serial number on that one, 1,900. That's good.
They got to really work on these cards, man. Every time I see them, they're just horrible.
I mean, that's not the sexiest moment there from
Overlord Marketing. Where's TPJ?
Yeah,
he gets it.
Okay, yeah, he gets that one. All right, last one. Maybe we'll get
Stop the hate. Stop the hate.
Here we go. Our third and final moment from the pack. Let's see who we got. From the Boston Celtics, it's Kemba.
Oh, vintage.
Just talking about him. Kemba Walker, now a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder and a teammate of
Yo, Ashley, would you want Kemba on the Knicks?
No.
You know?
No.
Bring it. Okay.
You know why? Because first of all, this is vintage, so whoever gets this, hold on to it.
That's right. That's
no,
right.
I wouldn't want him. I would want Kemba pre-injury. The thing is it's too much of a liability, too much of a risk, too much of a gamble to take on that type of a massive contract with someone who will probably not be able to play an entire season. I'm a big believer that your availability is your biggest asset to a team. It doesn't matter if necessarily if you're the most talented shooter, the most talented defender, whatever the case may be. You can work on mechanics. You can't work on two things. Two things are the hardest things to fix. Your mindset, which is what Ben Simmons needs to work on, and also your availability, your health. That's the same issue that I had with Frank. Frank has a lot of great things about him as a player, but you can never utilize them because he's hardly ever healthy. Kemba's kind of in the same situation. A lot of good there as a player, a lot of good, but it's hard to appreciate that good because you can never really play him an entire season. So I personally wouldn't want to take it on, but God bless whoever does. I hope it works out for you.
You mentioned Frank. What's his last name again, Glasses?
Frank Mitty.
Okay. That was better. I want to thank you guys for joining us for another edition of Who Got Game. We got a lot of great basketball to be played. We'll see if any of your predictions come true. And all right.
Mine won't, because I'm on Old Takes Exposed, so mine probably won't. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Oh well, we'll send them more content if it turns out the way you think. We're sending them this episode. That's right. But thank you all. Thank you, Ashley Nicole Moss. Congratulations on your new show, Sports Illustrated. Let everyone know about that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Laces Out drops this Friday on SI Social. They're digital on YouTube and also on their website. Our first episode features wide receiver of the Carolina Panthers, Robbie Anderson, and a lot of other cool stuff in the mix there. So make sure you guys check it out. Friday, we'll be dropping little teasers throughout the week. So make sure you check out my social media pages and stuff like that.
And what's the show all about?
I like to say it's a combination of sneaker shopping meets ESPN 360 meets Real Time with Brian Gumbo meets MTV Cribs. It's like a really cool merger of fashion and culture, but also as someone who got into journalism to tell stories, it was really important for me to kind of dig deep and get to know these guys outside of what we just see them do on the court. I think we can get so caught up in wins and losses and stat lines that we forget that before basketball, after basketball, these guys have lives and they have things that they're passionate about and that they do on and off the court. So it was important to not only merge, their style and what they do that we're so enamored with, but also get to know the people behind the player as well.
All right, because it's a lot about sneaker culture too. I just got a new pair of kicks. I need your advice. Do I keep these or do I return them? I don't know. They're Jordan 1 lows. Do we like these? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not like for or against.
I don't read them. I actually don't read them. I'm not a guy, but I would style those with some shorts, maybe some cargos. I don't know how the fellas feeling about it. I don't mind the colorway too. I think that's a little. Shout out to Buzz City. That's looking real Charlotte. It's
his my Devontae Graham outfit, maybe. Yeah, the glasses. What do you think? Can I pull this off, or should I skip this one?
I'm probably the worst. I'm an All-Stars Cortez kind of guy.
Pavy, what you think? What you think?
I told him. I told him you gotta like throw it off with like a gray shirt, like throw something gray on.
And you could actually wear those out. If you're going to like a nice restaurant or something and they allow you to wear shoes, you could actually dress those up. Maybe like black slacks, a crisp white tee, or like a gray slack. Yeah, like you can dress those up.
They do have a yacht feel to them, like you're supposed to be on a yacht.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get all right. Hey, now all of a sudden, Who Got Game is real sports meets sneaker shopping. We got it all happening here too. We're making it happen. All right. Well, thank you, Ashley. Congrats on the new show. We'll be sure to check that out. Glasses, thank you for being here as always with your hot takes. You were the man. Let us know your podcast. Where can people download it? What's coming up next on your podcast?
It's available. No ceilings. Last week we had a great conversation, included a Catholic priest. But new Glasses Malone music, July 9th.
Nice. Okay.
That's the most important thing.
All right, can't wait for that. Doc Rivers will be there at the album release party, I'm sure.
For sure. Jamie Foxx had the best impression of Doc Rivers ever.
Who does?
Jamie Foxx.
Oh, yeah?
Look up Jamie Foxx. You'll thank me later. Jamie Foxx, Doc Rivers impression. It's the greatest thing you ever seen in your life.
All right, nice.
Joel was hurt. He couldn't play. Ben couldn't shoot. Ask me if these guys are championship level. I don't know. I don't know.
Nice. All right.
That wasn't bad.
That was good. That was good. TPJ, a.k.a. Doc Rivers, thank you for keeping this ship running smoothly. We appreciate it. Pavy, thank you for being here. As always, my man, Hoops and Brew, and you got new music, and that's out too. Let everyone know where they can check out your stuff.
You can go check out Songs About Women anywhere you stream music. And the Soft List video should be out within like a week or two. It's me doing my best like Grease impression.
Oh, all right.
So like, yeah, shout out that.
Nice,
Songs About Women out right now. Go check it out.
I love it. I can't wait for that. And of course, thank you to Baron Davis, who was here until Pavy had to mention Dante DiVincenzo and compare him to Kyrie Irving, and he just left. But we thank everyone for being here. Thanks for joining us. We will be back next week with another edition of Who Got Game. We'll have more clarity on who might be in the NBA Finals as we're deeper into the conference finals at that point. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy some basketball. I'm Jason Zone Fisher, and we will see you next week, same time, same place, right here for Who Got Game.